Good evening and welcome to the Sheetalnath Conversations 53rd Sunday evening 7 p.m. IST show. I hope you are in your flight of spirits and good health. This must be another fine Sunday which you celebrated, especially in India because we are at the dusk now and day is already gone. But in other parts of the country, other parts of the world, it will be different timing. Somewhere it will be morning and somewhere it will be the night. I first of all, I congratulate all of you to be gluing again into the 53rd conversation of Sheetalnath Conversations show. Uh, Tomorrow, on 11th of April, it will be just 1 year passed by when this wonderful program, this colorful mosaic, started. We have, ambled through 53 landmark conversations till now. So I congratulate all of you, you being the inseparable ingredients of this program, wonderful program. And we have been able to amble through the step and through the history, through the mythology, through the culture, through literature, through place consciousness, to the towns, to the streets, to the bridges, uh, to the hamlets, to the flora and fauna, to the ecological threats, and to the mythology, to the literature, to the spirituality. And it has been a wonderful journey. It could not have been possible without the great and wonderful people who have joined as the authors and the conversationalists with me since last 53 episodes. They are wonderful people in their own ways. Somebody is a he's a great scientist in the US, and the other personality, he is a Padam Shri, he is a traveler, he is a researcher. And then we have the personalities who are great activists. Their activism is so well known across the globe. And then with people with the storytelling, the literature, connected with music, connected with paintings, all the great people, their stories, their anecdotes on Kashmir. We look towards at our backyard for a romance of the past, for a that feeling of that freshness of that fragrant air which touches our hearts during these conversations. These conversations are designed in a very, very special way. They are informally formal conversations. They are not typical question and answer session type, statistical type, which people are used to. We gradually, both two conversationalists, the guest conversationalist and the host conversationalist, they begin a discussion together, and gradually they slowly sink towards and expand towards the memory lanes of memory of the guest conversationalist, and then this goes on, and then finally we reach to the crux and the kernel of that particular thing, that particular narrative, that particular anecdote, which our guest speaker wants to convey. So that's why it's a very, very popular. All the sensible people, quality conscious people who love their native land, love their country, India, and love Kashmir, the cradle, cathedral, and crown of India, and its history, long history from the times of Yashomati, the first queen who was coronated by none other than Lord Krishna, till the passages of millennia, 5 millennia, and the contemporary times, the independent, post-independent Kashmir, and its life, its laughter, its bonhomie, its brotherhood, its challenges, all these aspects. They have been very beautifully covered in this program, and I think that this program will continue till the time we will not get bored from this program. And I first of all, again, am very indebted to all the wonderful uh, people, spectators, who every Sunday, without any miss, they switch on and glue to this program to watch yet another historic conversation. Uh, Today, we'll be talking about a guest. First of all, I like to say that America has always been a land of opportunities, a land where every aspirant used to go. That was traditionally what America was. I wish it remains there for more decades and centuries. and this was a destination for the people who are creative, who want to rise in life, who want to earn a life, who want to live a life without any conditioning, without any racial discrimination. That was the America in the last, probably it started. I can't go as far as George Washington, but especially since the last century, 20th century beginning, people used to go there. There are a lot many Indian natives, Indian scientists. There was a time when brain drain happened. People went to America for their opportunities, better support system. They researched, but they never forgot their, because of their Indian genes, they never forgot their roots. And Kashmir, the part of is a wonderful part of India. And Kashmiris all along the 20th century have been going to America, doing wonderful jobs over there, rising to different levels and contributing to society and looking back to their native country as well, native place as well. So that is how America is. And today, our guest is a citizen of America. He's a multifaceted personality. He's an author of high repute, of eminence, whose this latest books, especially in 2006, probably he has written "The Last Smile," and then there's another book which is written very recently, 2020, that's about the earth. uh, I mean, it's a wonderful, they are the wonderful communications, and communicates the essence and sensitivity of this wonderful personality. He's a business icon. By business, he's a business icon. He's on the many boards of the civic bodies over there in the Fremont, California, and he's a postgraduate in civil engineering from that from the university in California, one of the famous state universities in California. And besides being a civil engineer, he is also great socio-political activist. And because he has been the founding member of Indo-American Community Federation, and it's he has been in the Kashmir chapter. He's been the head of the chairman of the Kashmir chapter, and also, I mean, Kashmiri Overseas Association. He has been the local, Californian, I mean, founder of this Kashmiri Overseas Association, which has done a lot many work for the community of Kashmiris in India and abroad, for their diaspora. And he's also the founding member of Indo-American Kashmiri Association. Jeevan Saab has many, feathers into his cap. It's very difficult to explain one by one, but he's a wonderful author. He's a wonderful author, and he is also a filmmaker. The Last Smile, he was a co-producer of that film, Last Smile. And we are going to talk about. He is a very proud native of Kashmir. He has lived in Kashmir during his formative years, and has contributed to his destination country, both the great democracies, one the largest democracy, which is rising power now, the India, his native country, his native place, Kashmir, and the country where he has gone, the great democracy of the world. The both, I think, his transition has been from one democracy to another, and that has given him great opportunity. And he's an honest man. He feels that he should think about the America as well as his native country, India. So, without any delay, we are going to start this conversation. He is not very away from me. He is in the studio. So, let us welcome Sri Jeevan Zutshi, the author. I can call him the polymath, into the studio.
Namaskar.
Jeevanji, you are welcome into Sheetalath Conversations 53rd important conversation, because tomorrow we are going to have a 1 year of completion, and we have ambled through the 53 episodes, 53 landmarks. So you are welcome to this conversation, and we are very much delighted to see you in our studio.
Please accept my felicitations, congratulations. It's one of the most interesting uh, shows, and I really must thank you for bringing these wonderful shows. You continue to do it, and I'm very sure it will continue for a very long time. And once again, thank you for doing that.
Thanks a lot. It's really an honor and pleasure to have a personality like on our show, that too on its historic turn. And Since this show, as you know well, this is an anecdotal show. I mean, we our guests they come and they we ask them to go back to the lanes of the memory before we crisscross along your the wonderful areas where you have worked as an author, as a business icon, as a social activist, social political activist in America. Your work is seen, your personality is seen, you're remarkably known all over. Before we amble into that aspect of your, and we talk about the Kashmiris, the subject today, the Kashmiris in America, I would like to take you to the fundamental structure of this program. Being anecdotal, we normally what we do we go to the lanes of memory lanes of the conversationalist, the author, the guest. So let us do one thing. Let's just open our wings and let's all fly with you to the lanes of memoirs of your the great expansive lake of memoirs, fragrant and the fascinating memoirs which you have gone through, through which you have you were raised as a child, and then your college, your institutions, the men and matters who appealed you, who affected and shaping your personality, your family. I heard that your father was a big landlord. I don't know whether Land to the Tiller Act has taken away these lands from him or not, because it is the same story in many households in Kashmir. And then there are many good things about Kashmir: the bonhomie, the brotherhood, the culture, the social and environmental ecology. So we want to have it through your prism, sir. Your kindly elucidate.
Certainly. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to go back all the way and try to reminisce and share my life, my story with all of you. My story actually, my life, it started from Nawakadal, Srinagar, where my father was born, and of course Ali Kadal, Srinagar, where my mother was born,
Oh, wonderful.
and of course both on the banks of River Jhelum.
Oh,
So,
that's so
you
beautiful.
know, as you said, father came from an affluent family of farmers, landowners, landlords, whatever you call them. And mother, of course, came from an educated family of teachers. My grandfather was Pandit Shamlal Piku. Is a wonderful, wonderful man. Learned so much from him while growing up. Very, very. He was an educationist and a bright, very bright man. So after my parents were married, I think a little over an year before India became an independent country, they both moved to Sopor. Sopor. It's
Sopor is
about
a beautiful
30
place.
miles, 30
Mini
miles,
London. They call it mini London. It
mini
used to be
London.
called.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's 30 miles northwest of Srinagar.
Okay.
And my father, he was actually managing his, ancestral estate. Sopor was also one of their estates. Apparently, my grandfather probably had 7 estates. So this was one of them. So my father, he was managing it. So I was the first child and followed by 2 daughters and a son.
Wonderful.
So the four of us spent time between Sopor and Srinagar, visiting our, you know, grandparents, uncles and aunts.
Oh,
And, even before the last child of my parents was born, unfortunately, there were undercurrents of land being taken from big landlords,
land to the tiller. Land to the
land to
tiller.
the land to the tillers, as you earlier said, and so
That was very unfortunate. That was very
जैसे कहते
unfortunate.
हैं कि अब वो खाली लॉर्ड रहे and so the big landed estates. I think it was Abolition Act which was passed in 1950,
1950.
and the land was given to the tillers. So thousands of acres of land were taken away from Kashmiri Pandits and also some Muslims. You know, but mainly I think the Kashmiri Pandits were the ones who had land, so most of them got
Majority of them was
they
Kashmiri
got
Pandit.
they got adversely affected. And the unfortunate thing is that they didn't give them any compensation. I mean, it's fine to have land to tillers, and it was throughout India they did it, but in Kashmir they did not give any compensation.
That's very sad.
And it did allow for compensation. So several landlords, including my grandfather and his children, and they lost the case finally in the Supreme Court
Oh,
because of the special status given to Kashmir in the Article 370, of Indian Constitution. Because of that, Supreme Court, they could not, it just we lost the case. So
but you were not the big landlords. I mean, it should have been applied to the places. It's probably they say that this document was cut, copy, pasted from the Russian. This they utilize it without thinking, without application of mind, because we were not very big landlords over there.
well, I mean, I'm always, even after this Article 370 was abrogated,
Right.
I'm really thinking that they should consider giving compensation, even though it's a long time back. But
Oh,
it was very unfair. It was unjust. I mean, you are taking people's a living. Basically, they were making a living out of it. It's not
yes.
like they had these big estates and they had some other sources for for income. I
Very
mean,
unfair.
that's what they depended on. And you take their property, take their land, take their living without giving them any compensation. I think it's the most unfair thing that you can do.
Very right.
But anyway, my father, he continued to stay in Sopor, even though his estate was significantly reduced. But there was no other option to survive. He had to take care of all of us. And, we were very fortunate, like all other Kashmiri Pandits, whose primary focus was on educating their children. So, and my father had a keen eye to find the best teachers who were available in Sopor. And one was one teacher. He was a very respected Molvi Saab. I
Malvi.
still remember him. He was such a gracious man, such a kind man. And Molvi Saab was in our neighborhood, who taught me Urdu and Persian. And
Mm.
I must have been 7 years old. And he used to come to our home, and we would sit you know, in the lawn, and he would teach me, and it was so wonderful, wonderful times. Another teacher was teaching me, Hindi and Sanskrit. And then we had a well-known teacher there, uh, Pandit Nanlal Koul.
Another-
His son is Pran Koul. Uh, he's also he's a wonderful man. He has written some books, and he was a high up in the army. So Nanlal Koul, he taught me for many years, and he was an outstanding teacher. He was very, very good, and also there was so much to learn from him. So those were extraordinary times. Everything seemed to be going so well. My father, he was very well liked person, well known, and because of his kind and loving personality.
compassionate.
And everyone loved our family. Uh, there was absolutely no issues, like we're Kashmiri Pandits or there are Kashmiri Muslims,
No
dominant.
discrimination as such.
Nothing. No, no. It was beautiful. There was a great deal of harmony between different religious groups, and everyone lived together, very peacefully, very peacefully. We celebrated Shivratri and we, Eid together. I remember
Hmm.
in our, in our Sopor, that land, would all come, and they would all, join us. And if it was Shivratri or any other festivities, even Eid, and the celebrations used to take place, in our house, and it just brought all religious groups together, which was so beautiful. And later on, uh, I graduated from the Sopor College, and I took off for studies to MBM Engineering College in Jodhpur.
Oh,
I was probably 15 and a half, same 15, 16, what those days, our normal age used to be for, doing our, that, what do you call, interscience. After matric, we had FSC, they used to call it. So, but my mother was very upset. She said, why has he gone so far away? You know, because a college, engineering college also had started in our area, the regional engineering
REC,
college.
REC, yeah.
I think they call it now NIT. So it had also started, it probably was 3 years old, 4 years old that time, maybe a little longer. It had been established. So my mother was very upset. She was very young, and I was the first child, and our age difference was probably only 18 years, 19 years. So she missed me very much, and she insisted on my father to bring me back, and so I did. After 1 year of my studies in Jodhpur, I came back to uh,
REC.
Nasim Bagh, Srinagar. So that's how the Nasim Bagh time, and then it was all a lot of fun, and the university was close by, and we had all the Dal lakes, and
That's a beautiful place.
not-
That is
it's
the
a beautiful,
wooden
beautiful,
structures,
yeah,
chinar trees. Yeah,
beautiful time we really had. I mean, now I understand it's so congested, and it's not the same what it used to be. Even though I haven't gone in about 12 years, I haven't gone to Kashmir. But last I went, I was disappointed. It has, it's not the same. It's not the same Srinagar that it used to be. But you know,
how are the days in college? I mean, during your academics as well as your professional times in Jodhpur and then in Srinagar. Uh,
Jodhpur, Jodhpur was very different. It was, there was a lot of discipline. Early morning going to college, and then we had this the prayers, and it was a different mahol hi kuch aur tha.
Atmosphere was different.
It was completely different. I have no idea why I was not very fortunate to complete my education there. But सारा लिखा होता है. Everything is
Everything is predestined.
everything. सारा हमारा script लिखा हुआ है, तो we can't change things. But it was a different, coming to Srinagar was a huge change, and it was definitely a very, very huge change. माहौल ही completely different था.
My Nanihal and they were a Muju family. They were all scattered in Rajasthan. Probably Jaipur में थे father. तो वो भी इन कॉलेज से ही निकले हैं कहीं जोधपुर जब जहाँ पे these institutions were there. Mujus,
हाँ,
they were known as Mujus. Yeah,
right.
Muju family.
अच्छा अच्छा.
So wonderful, sir. It's beautiful. You were told about your mother, your father. Your mother was educated in that time. You
My
say
mother, yeah, she actually, she had always this remorse. She said, "Moil sunnam khandar karid jal jal."
that is that my mom also tells used to say.
She, yeah, she went to college, and then father was anxious those days. My God, I mean, kya waqt tha. And the marriage seemed to be more important than anything else.
Everything.
And so she also got married, and she was very young, like so many women those days. They were all 16, 17, you know. So that there went her college and everything. But she was very bright. She was a very, very, very intelligent woman, very calm, woman of few words, you know.
Substance.
So she would keep herself always busy with reading, you know, whatever she could find. She would continue, doing that. So, we were very fortunate, actually, very fortunate to have a set of parents who were definitely very remarkable.
And what
So,
about your excursions? Excursions. The movement into the valley was beautiful. Everywhere you could go and have an excursion. Every village was a spot of excursion, picnic. So,
yeah,
what
I
about
mean,
how did you celebrate life? Traditions, customs, other things. I want to know bit of
you
it.
know, Sopor itself, it was a lovely town. So, uske around, you had a lot of places to go to.
Around
There
Sopor.
were, we had so many places where you could go, and you could hike, you could go for picnics, and you could go for all those wonderful things in our simple way those days. So my father, he was very fond of outing, and unka apna wo, he had his own horse and goda vagara
Array,
go.
that
So
I've also heard those stories. Yeah,
yeah, but
beautiful.
but unfortunately, as
Stubble, horse stubble, and you know,
unfortunately, sometimes I feel I probably was the unlucky first child he got, because while after I was born, land to tillers ho gaya, and the
right.
lives changed. Lives completely
Different.
changed. And in my heart, I always used to feel कि
Miss those times.
मैं आया तो you know I basically became responsible for the demise. But लेकिन history, बहुत सारी चीजें हो जाती हैं लाइफ में, तो you
That's
can't help.
wonderful. That's so wonderful. You have narrated. I mean, we can go on and on in this segment because this is something which touches our heart. That is the most important segment of Shitala's conversations. That we go to that particular times and those eras, and certainly nobody knows about it, and nobody will know unless and until people listen to programs like this. So, sir, you are basically you went from here and then finally you chose to go to United States of America. I like to say few lines from one of my favorite author in Once Upon a Time. She was my favorite author then. Ayn Rand, you must have heard. She was
Yes.
very popular during college, especially professional colleges. Everybody knew about the Fountainhead, Atlas Shrugged. But she wrote many essays as well, wonderful essays on capitalism and other things. What she says that she was always, I mean, gaga over America, because finally we the living, she says that how she came out of that Russian czar shahi and she went to finally into a free America. So she has said that America's abundance was not created by public sacrifices to common good, but by the productive genius of free men who pursued their own personal interests and making of their fortunes. So that is the essence of this America. How she saw the America, and I don't know how it is now, but certainly we all feel the same way about America. Was it easy for you to migrate, immigrate? I knew in those times scientists and engineers and doctors could easily go and migrate, but a person living in Kashmir with so much attached mother and suddenly you're going to such a very far place in those times. I mean, it must have been a very, very hurricane thing. Tell us something about it.
Well, my response will be a little longer uh, than the question, but I have to say this, since you brought up a very very important, you touched that very important, that crucial, जो हमारा life का था. Because as I got closer to completing my 5 years degree course in civil engineering, things had changed considerably. So the harmony between religious groups had turned into hostility,
Oh,
and there were no good employment opportunities which existed in Kashmir. You know, I remember when I went, uh, for engineering, though it was just understood that आप engineering खत्म करेंगे and you will come and you will become assistant engineer. I mean, लेकिन by the time I was in third year uh, and fourth year, everything had changed. There were no employment opportunities. Things had changed, not only for Kashmiri Pandits, for everyone.
everyone.
So,
Scarcity of employment avenues were must have been scarce.
yeah, it was bad, and they would start you with some technical assistant or those kind of positions had also started. Uh, you know, so that obviously, it made me think about other opportunities. And I remember, I applied for anything that was available. I applied for a job in Skim. I applied in border roads in Middle East, and of course the Kashmir government, a very ordinary small job was offered as, I think they used to give us some 250 rupees dete the. They called
Stipend.
us they called us apprentice. They called us apprentice. So that lasted about 3-4 months before I became a technical assistant.
Was it the only was it Joshi sir, was it the only thing that made you to go to US? But others could do it. Others could cling on to this step by step lined up and I mean enjoy the life the way it was. But there must have been something else, some other fire in your belly, where you wanted to go and explore the opportunities.
Well, honestly, I always kind of I was looking, at the green pastures, and always looking
Green
to get
pastures.
out from, from. That's why I applied for Middle East also. And I remember I had an uncle. He passed away, few years back, and he was in Germany. So he tried to find me something which didn't happen, and I was basically looking around for anything, whatever was available. I even applied for jobs in Delhi and other places, but it was so difficult. I mean, it was very hard.
Oh,
But one time I remember we were in the college. I was visiting, some friends, and there was one Kajru Saab. He's also in Chicago now, and he told me. He said that he's also desperately wanting to get out, and he said, we should go to America and stuff, and we'll help each other and we'll do this. And it was just we used to have these kind of conversations. And in fact, that time
aspirations.
immigration
Aspiration.
had immigration to United States also had started, and many people didn't know about it, obviously. And you know in America, as you know, those days, it was a time when the United States Department of Labor, they were accepting petitions from engineers, doctors, scientists, and other professionals. Back in America, sometime around uh, the 60s, there was a sea change happening in the name of racial equality, which led to a new chapter in the world's history, and later in my life also, obviously, because if that didn't happen that time, then I wouldn't obviously be able to
Have been
avail
there.
that opportunity. So America embarked upon a fundamental alteration in foreign policy when the landmark US Immigration Act of 1965 had been used to address a shortage of doctors and engineers. So देखिए ये टाइमिंग की बात होती है. तो 1965 में, they have this foreign policy alteration, or वो भी because they had such a huge shortage. So obviously, I was lucky to be part of that, first wave, as I, as I have called it in my book also. So this first wave of the uh, Asian brain drain when
Brain drain.
immigrating to the US in 1972. So I don't
It
think
happened all
many
over India. All over India, people used to rush to US in those days.
all over.
Best brains, best brains. Yeah.
I don't think मेरे जाने से कोई brain drain नहीं हुआ. but but that's what they used to call it. So
But
approximate.
yeah, how
हाँ
was
हाँ.
the how you reached to the I mean your dream destination America, and I know that your views are very I mean they are quoted views rather, that you love your country America and you are a very proactive activist, socio-political activist. You are on the board of so many civic bodies. Tell us about your journey of integration into American society and its culture and your professional life as well while you landed in America.
Well, a lot has to do with our the exodus that took place in 1990.
That was 1990. Yeah.
A lot has to do with shaping my philosophy also, because I thought, if this could happen in Kashmir, it can happen anywhere. So you have to become part of the solution rather becoming part of the problem. So uh, so Kashmir exodus ke baad, it was very tragic. So it just basically made us very sad here and very upset. Our own people living in tents and had to flee for their lives, and
Yeah, that's very tragic.
so it
Great.
made us definitely,
Holocaust.
all of us, everyone. So I kind of felt that if this can happen there, it can happen here. So it's better to get involved, uh, in your own backyard, right here. So we also, I was part of the Kashmir Associations also. I started a chapter here of Kashmiri Overseas Association, and I always like to do it. Temperamentally also, I like to be social, like to get people together. And so the Kashmiri Association, we used to do our cultural events here, and small things of getting people together, getting our Kashmiris together. We were very few people here anyway. I mean, I think when I came to the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, we were just three people here.
It was
Myself,
1972 or
that was
76.
1972. My sister was here,
Oh,
who was of a significant support to me. Obviously, when I came here, it was not like I just, you know, flew like a bird and and the government of United States was waiting,
hunky dowry. It was not
and
so hunky dowry as
they
people
were not
presume.
waiting to greet me. And
Rag to riches story.
yeah. I mean, it was very rough, very tough. I mean, it took me at least 2.5 years to find. All the paperwork had to be done, and you needed a local sponsor, and it was definitely very difficult because my sisters, they were not, they didn't have a green card yet, because her husband, he was a student.
Okay.
He was doing PhD in UC Berkeley. So I had to find someone who had a green card, and it was very difficult. It was very hard. Even though the bottom line is that after the paperwork is done, I have my sister here. I mean, I have someone here. I think I don't know, what someone would do if you didn't have someone pick you up from the airport and take you to their warm house and feed you, and
That's an
and,
advantage you
and
had.
give you the opportunity to basically go look for jobs, and and then settle down. So I'm very grateful to my sister. She was younger than me, and very close in age. And she passed away. We lost her, which
Oh,
is very unfortunate. She got this ovarian cancer. 3 months, she just vanished. That was almost about now 10, 12 years ago. So it's very, very sad. Her husband also, he passed away. He also had some kind of cancer. But anyway, um,
you started as a businessman. You started from the business, or you started with a job over there
no, no,
in
no.
US?
I just was a very small employee. I started working,
Okay.
as an engineer. I was fortunate, actually. I should say that I was very fortunate. क्योंकि जब when I arrived back in, I think it was September 1972, so only within a month I was
Okay.
able to find myself a job. And that time it was a very, very, very bad time in America. The Vietnam War and depression and, unemployment. It was not really the best of the times that you would have expected to, land in America, and then you will get a job and you will have this, you will have that. But I think किसी वक्त वो कोई दुआ दुआ आपको you know वो काम करती है. तो I got a
Waves
job.
you.
It was a very decent international company, and that's another story. Time लगेगा, but
Take a lot of time.
I just I basically said कि भाई अब मैं वापस जाऊंगा India, because nobody was even talking to us. They used to tell us. I remember I went for an interview. तो वो sanitary engineer के लिए था. तो वो कहता है कि you're from India but you don't have any, people go in the open field. तो तुम लोगों को sanitary engineering का क्या पता है? I mean, they were so condescending. They
You
were
could have
so
told them that this is a biodiversity which America will realize after a century,
condescending.
because it goes back into the cyclic system. Cyclic system.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, so I was really, during that 1 month,
You
my
felt
stay.
racially hurt. Racially hurt.
Yeah, I said कि I'm not going to stay here now. I should go back. वो अपना वो power development department का technical
नौकरी
assistant वही
करेंगे.
ठीक है. Because I'm not मैं America के लिए I'm not fit to be working here. But I was fortunate. Then I got an opportunity. I did my masters in engineering, and तो
Yeah.
तो
San
अपने
Jose. San Jose
रूट्स
State University.
सैन होजे. हाँ. स्पेनिश
Jose. I
में
am not
इसको होजे
pronouncing it
बोलते हैं.
properly.
It is
It's
Jose,
not Jose.
but in Spanish they say Jose, San Jose.
San Jose. San Jose.
तो I काफी मेहनत होती है.
No,
Our
it's
this
not an easy. Building
the
your future in a country like which is not your own and native, it's not an easy-go-lucky kind of a situation.
and you
It's
can
a lot of
imagine
layers
that
of hard work.
we were the first wave, of immigrants, and it was very hard. It was hard to basically अपने वो roots यहाँ पर डाल दो, and काफी मेहनत. It was difficult. I'm very very sure that once our third wave के बाद जो हमारे IT वाले आए, I think
Uh,
they have been really really very fortunate, क्योंकि उनका तो वहां से आओ और यहाँ पर work in IT
and they are the
fields.
golden children controlling Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, which
And
is
then you
good.
finally went into business, Zutsab, since we have the time constraints and I have lot many things to ask you. बहुत सारे सवाल आपको पूछने हैं. तो फिर finally you shifted to business
No,
because
no.
now,
कोई ऐसा कुछ काम नहीं किया कि I didn't become a business tycoon or something.
okay,
But in a humble way, I just
you did your own business.
basically, I worked most of my life, but side में there were other things also, which like I had some petroleum gas stations कुछ थे, or I did some construction and land development, and buying some
Mm.
land and building some properties. I say choti choti cheezein, keeping myself very engaged and keeping myself very busy. But to be honest with you, most of these past 32 years, when you go back, मुझे लगता है कि सारा ये कश्मीर के साथ ही हमारा टाइम चला गया.
Uh, that was the best time.
But I also basically, as you said earlier, because of my, ये जो thought process I after the Kashmiri exodus, so I tried to build roots here in America, and fortunately have been very successful in doing that. So, uh, you know, we have this organization that I founded. So we do a lot of things with that, and
Indo-American Community
Indo-American
Federation.
Community Federation. So you know,
You look after Kashmir chapter as well there.
exactly. और उसमें मैं कश्मीर का भी काफी काम होता है. We have a lot of symposiums we have done, and you know, a lot of work. Took delegations also to Kashmir. हम जम्मू गए थे, 2 बार हम गए, and 1993 and 94, a long time ago now. So we took delegations. We met some of these. I remember, some ministers, some other people. तो वो सारा चलता रहा, जिंदगी चलती रही, और अभी भी ऐसा होता रहता है. You have some visiting, ministers coming here and all that. So we get involved in some, receptions हैं, वो हैं, ये हैं. इंडो यूएस पर काफी हमने यहाँ काफी काम
That's
किया है.
a very very spread organization which you have worked for. You
हाँ.
were the founding member of that organization.
Yes, and we do
And
this.
Indo-American Kashmiri Association is another
इंडो
organization.
अमेरिकन, एक्चुअली जब 1986 में actually Kashmiri Association started, I think, some time back in 1983, 84, but in a very small way. ऐसे ही छोटी छोटी families थी. Like I told you, we were only 3, 4 people in the Bay Area. That was me, my sister, and her husband, and then a couple of other people. तो उसके बाद वो we started growing and growing, and our families came, and then other families came, and then of course 90s में तो IT का boom हो गया, तो फिर तो no looking back. I mean, then you have all Kashmiris. We have probably about 500-600 Kashmiris. I remember those days कोई ऐसी, कोई ऐसा था ही नहीं जिसको हम नहीं, they wouldn't, come to our home, or we wouldn't know them. But then, you wouldn't be able to keep track of anyone. We have 500-600, maybe more. I have no idea. I'm completely out of touch now for past 10-12 years. So I don't know. There may be 600-700 families here now. So
You are also integrated into the American system, because I've heard somewhere you saying that we need to also culturally integrate with the American system, because that is the country where we live in. Of course, our native culture remains, and you are already on the board of so many civil organization, transport board, or some. There are many such boards. Transportation board is there, chamber of commerce is there. So you have tried, and there's an integration. It's not an isolated personality who works for the money and then sits back. You have already done certain endeavors which has helped you to integrate into that
well,
society.
you said it very well. I mean, money was never, never came to my mind. Zindagi chal rahi hai, to it was all actually, a desire that you just carve a place for yourself, and for your community, and for everyone around you. uh, कि यहाँ पर एक अमेरिका में हम लोग अपना एक, एक अपनी जगह पैदा करें. And I think we're pretty successful in doing that. We have now, right now, we have connections with, many elected officials who listen to us, who understand where we're coming from. So even though I must tell you, the policy matters, they will never change. One thing about America, when it comes to national interest,
That
तो
is
आप
first.
आप आप कुछ भी करें तो they will never do something which
Out of
doesn't.
the way.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And same in India now, after Modi has come, that this we say India first, country
Absolutely.
first. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, I'll tell you, uh, abhi Democrats हैं, and their policies are a little different. And जो पहले ट्रम्प था तो वो तो वैसे भी, pardon me for saying that, वो तो clown था. I don't still know why people, some Indians and.
But you had wonderful presidents in America like George Bush
Oh my
and
God, yeah.
Kennedy. Yeah, I mean, you think even Obama, for that matter,
Obama
this
was the best.
brilliant president. What
Clinton,
a
Obama, they're icons. I mean, whatever somebody might say. लेकिन ट्रम्प तो
थोड़ा सा different.
वो तो बिल्कुल इज अ लाफिंग
आई मीन
मैटर.
वो अमेरिकन जो लेगेसी है, वो जो एक सुपीरियरिटी है, वो जो एक सोफिस्टिकेशन और एलोकेंस है, उसने उसको इक्लिप्स करा. ही ट्राई टू ही केम एज एन इक्लिप्स टू दैट पर्टिकुलर
यस, यस,
brand,
यस.
American brand. Anyway, I mean that is there,
लेकिन
but
पॉलिस
your work is enormous. Yeah, you have done at an individual level as a Kashmiri. You've done a lot of work, and we'll talk about it later about 90s exodus and your participation, because I have heard from one of my guest conversationalist, one of the great icon and a legendary personality, Kashinath Pandita ji,
oh my
about
God,
you. He has said he's a most brilliant man. We should be
brilliant.
proud of him. He has said that it would have not been possible for me to plead the case in United Nations if there was not Jitendra, your father's name he took, and he took your name, Jeevan Zutshi ji,
जी.
would have not been there. He facilitated our all everything. So he had a great respect for you. And Kashinath Panta, I think, had we agreed at that point of time with what Kashinath Panta proposed, I think things would have been much better for our community. I don't know how we look at it. Yeah,
See, the problem is that even within our Kashmiri community, there
there are
are
cross sections.
there's so much diversity. But unfortunately, there
That is a
is
nice word you are using.
but no unity. That is the only problem. But we have icons like Padam Shri Ken Panta. I mean, he's
He
an
is the
amazing man.
he's the living
He's a
legend.
living legend. He's a
Rarest of the
living legend.
rare. Rarest of the rare.
Brilliant man. And the work he has done, and so actually I convened a symposium back in 1992. So after the exodus and all that, so एक symposium किया, and our Kashmiri Association, I was also part of it. And then we had also formed our Mr. KL Koul, late KL Koul,
Paul Saab, I've heard his name
Koul
as well.
Saab, a great man, great man. So he, had I had started this Kashmir task force here locally, but then he said that nah, it should nationally get awesome. We need national presence. California chups kam karan, magar we need national presence. So
What a vision.
then we great guy. So we started that Indo-American Kashmir Forum. 7-8 लोग थे, तो in different states, and they were hardworking people, तो काफी मेहनत कर रहे थे. And it basically यही था उस वक्त की, to highlight जो कश्मीर में हुआ हमारे लोगों के साथ, तो उसको हाईलाइट करने के लिए, क्योंकि यहाँ की पॉलिसीज वर वेरी, they were not favoring India. They said, India human rights, वहाँ पर तो they stink, and India government kharab hai, they have done so many wrong things in Punjab, with Sikhs, with Christian.
All
तो
nonsense,
यहाँ
propaganda.
policy यहाँ these members of Congress वगैरह, तो they were not really looking at India very sympathetically. So it was a huge task. It was a huge task. We had to go out, we had to educate them and tell them, by this is what India is, and this is what is happening to us, and this is what Pakistan has been doing constantly to hurt us, and so on and so forth. So, on that note, तो 1992 में I convened a very powerful symposium here in California, and and of course we were very honored to have Pantasa. So he was here, and we stayed together here for a little time, short time, couple of weeks or so. And my father, they really enjoyed talking to each other. And हम निकलते थे, वो कहते हैं ना रेशम खान असमस मजदूरी मजदूरी करने के लिए, तो हम लोग निकलते थे काम वाम करने के लिए. तो so they had fun talking and stuff and reminiscing, because Pinta Sahib is also from Baramulla.
Acha Vishwan. Yeah, yeah. I've heard his story. It's wonderful. Great story of his life.
Yeah.
My God.
And my father obviously so poor connection, so they had so much to
They
share.
have the similar bone.
And what he said at that symposium, uh, I think if some attention had been paid, I think we would have been definitely way ahead. You know, काफी
Yeah,
आगे आ
something
जाते.
happened. They should have heed to this great wisdomful personality at that
Yeah.
point of time. Especially the what you call it, the internally disturbed and disputed community class, which he was
Yes.
highlighting. Probably it didn't suit the other people. What I don't know, whatever happened at that point of time. The people are the best witness to that. But anyway, sir, we are talking about you. We'll talk about Kashinath Pantaji. I mean, I had two lectures with him, two conversations with him. I'm looking for the third conversation with him again because he's an encyclopedia. I mean,
He's an
his
encyclopedia.
he's
And
an
I'm also
encyclopedia.
reminded right now, wo aapne mujhe, you sent me, back to 1992. We also had Subhash Kakji. He was
Correct.
also another
He has
speaker
done one conversation with us.
that I
One conversation.
requested him to join that time. And, he's another icon. I mean, he's another brilliant
Brilliant
man.
man. He's a
Yeah,
brilliant man. Brilliant man.
yeah,
He is. His thinking is. I mean, it is much ahead. I mean,
yeah.
they say na time and space, beyond time and space.
Beyond time.
Trikaladarshi,
Yeah,
which can go
yeah.
into the past and future at the same time.
Yes, yes.
I had one conversation with him. It was very delightful, very
I
informative.
heard I was, I don't आपका कोई miss नहीं करता हूँ. All the
Hey,
conversation
pleasure, pleasure,
you have
pleasure, sir.
brought, so many people you have brought, and there's so much, uh, you know so much to learn from your conversations. There's so much to learn.
What is, I mean, what I mean to say is that America has been a destination for passionate aspirants. Could you please tell us about the prominent personalities, Kashmiri personalities? Let us take a benchmark, say half a century back. Subhash Kakji, you told he's one of the greatest personalities. Even, I mean, he is the member of some prime ministers, some committee also. He has been selected for that, and
Right.
he is a wonderful, all the time, very dynamic. And not only personalities. Let us go through a bit of, amble around this periphery of half a century and see how Indians and Kashmiris, especially Kashmiris, who contributed in the American society and they made some name, fame, and also did some contribution, great contribution to the community, to the country of their origin, as well as the country where they are working, उनकी कर्म भूमि अमेरिका.
This takes us back to the first wave of immigrants in this country, and it takes us back to the second wave. So of course उसके बाद IT and all that generation वो बिल्कुल आपके सामने है. And but our the people who came, they were really, students आए तो बेचारे, they're trying to finish their studies, and then they got their green cards and they started, basically settling down. So it was not easy. It took quite some time for people to basically, build your families and, buy a home, and तो उसी में उनका टाइम निकल गया. बहुत सारा टाइम in settling down मैं निकल गया. Opportunities इतनी ज़्यादा नहीं थी, and money was not इतनी इस abundance में जो कि बाद में after the IT boom and all that. So basically they all did well. All the most of the people that I know and most of the Kashmiris were connected, because of our Kashmiri Overseas Association and because of our own personal activism, and we are connected with so many people. So some of the people who stand out, uh, I would just say that Dr. Subhash Kak is definitely someone who really stands out. I mean, in so many areas, in so many fields. I mean, he's also a Padam Shri,
Ah, he's
and and so as I said, first generation, we're all old now, and most of the people अपने ही कामों में लग गए, अपना घर, you know,
family and
family वगैरह उसमें लग गए. I don't think they really had that opportunity कि they could do something more than that. I know there are some people who have done well in businesses. They started their manufacturing or retail or whatever, and some people have done well. But nobody comes to my mind right now, like Dr. Subhash Kak or someone who has excelled in so many,
there are
so many.
some senators as well, Kashmiri, Anglo Kashmiri. I mean, not exactly Kashmiri. Mother is Kashmiri, or grandfather was Kashmiri. There's one particular, I don't remember his name.
नहीं, वो
That bald head. Okay.
bald guy. Yes, yes. No,
What's
he
his name?
was actually. Yeah, he. What's his name? My God, I used to know his
I
father.
forgot his name. I wanted to bring him also onto the conversation, but I don't know what is forgotten his name. Very popular guy once upon it. I mean, just few years back.
Yeah, he also ran for the governor of California,
Okay.
and he obviously, with वैसे politics के लिए sometimes you run because you don't have a chance. I mean, he probably got 5-7% votes. So yeah, he was in some administration in 2007-8, when we had this financial crisis, and I think he had been appointed also um, to basically solve that problem we had that time.
We have
So
Kashmiri Muslims also, like Dr. Shal was there. Dr. Shal is in America based. Dr. Shal, the heart surgeon, the famous, world famous heart specialist.
he must be on the East Coast. तो
Okay.
यहाँ हमारे California West Coast पर
नहीं है.
there are some Muslims
Doing
who are
good.
also doing very well, and I just heard that there is some Muslim guru
Guru sir.
who is building some huge museum, and something he is doing, but again it's on the East Coast, New York वगैरह उसी area में है. So there are some people. Up to things have really changed. Koul Sahab, right now, after your social medias and ये जो सारा
News.
आपका, the life has changed now. I mean, it used to take us say few months to reach out to a member of Congress. आजकल तो because of social media you go and send a friend request, and they all would want to be your friends.
Friends.
so so they can get the money and the vote. तो आजकल अब different time हो गया है, but it used to take us years and years, and for everything else. I mean, even to know our leaders, our people in India, it would take us long time. I mean, I remember those days. I mean, All India Kashmiri Samaj, and building relations and knowing them and they
It was
knowing
a
us.
great input and hard work and
It was
great.
a lot of hard work. क्योंकि था नहीं ना, कम्युनिकेशन भी आपकी क्या थी, आई मीन ईमेल्स भी बहुत लेट शुरू हो गए, तो बिफोर
Telegram was
दैट,
the Telegram was the most best thing in those days.
yeah, exactly. So we have gone through these generational changes in these past 50, 60 years. So much has changed, if you
But we
really look
have
at.
great Indians, our I don't know about the policy matter. I know very little about the politics they play. What is American politics? But we have your vice president has an Indian origin.
Kamala
We take pride.
Harris. Kamala
Yeah,
Harris. She's a
Kamala
she's half
Chameleon.
Afro American and half Indian. Her mother, she was an Indian, and she was our mayor. She was our attorney general in state of California. We know her very closely, and a brilliant woman. Otherwise, so I mean, it's a different world now. As I said, we have 5 members of Congress now who are Indians.
Five
So
members.
our
That's a great
own
thing.
local congressman here, his name is Rokhanna. So he's our Indian. He's just 42, 43 years old.
Right.
Very brilliant, very young.
Young
So
chap.
now it's a different world altogether. I mean, when we came and those days, all the way till early 90s, I mean, things were so different. But I think it's definitely because of internet, because of social media, because of all these things which gradually happened and then really happened.
World has
So
become a small, like a small village now. We are connected. It has its advantages, but it has its disadvantages too. I mean,
yeah,
know, it
you,
has its pitfalls as well. But then
it
again,
has, it does because it's being abused
yeah,
and
of course,
like in but it is there, like we are talking right now. I mean, this wouldn't have been possible. I
California.
remember when I used to call home. तो इट वाज सो डिफिकल्ट फॉर अस. पहले तो वो कनेक्शन ही नहीं लगता था. उसके बाद आई रिमेंबर talking to one time with my father and I said, Yatmara, you guys who phone went disconnect, and he said, karang siu kata zarchastain neran mine waim sa disconnect tam sa guys. So I still remember those words.
That's a great
So
thing.
that was
So
our
time change is an inevitable phenomenon of nature. Change is the permanent thing. We have to
चिट्ठी
welcome
आती
it.
थी. We used to write to each other, and उसमें भी अपना मजा था.
Yeah,
It
that
had
was a
its
great
own
thing.
beauty.
Even scarcity had its own advantages. Scarcity
आजकल
had its
it's
own
too, I think देखा जाए तो it's life has become too fast, and
too
it
much
doesn't. हाँ,
materialistic issue. And you have the highest case of psychiatry now, and
absolutely,
people are
absolutely.
disconnected with the roots. They are
They are
disconnected with
completely,
everything. Yeah,
they are very disconnected, and
it's all virtual. Yeah,
और सारा वो greed element,
yeah, agreed.
the concept of doing well. I mean, sometimes when we get to kind of our age, you just kind of laugh about things, like what did it really mean? What is doing well? Amassing wealth? And अभी आप देखें तो our new generations जो आजकल हैं तो they're doing so well. I mean, because of all the opportunities they have now,
Available now.
they're on the shoulders of, you can say, our shoulders. Older people, we always are, you know on the shoulders of our previous generation. So they are now doing so well. लेकिन देखा जाए, as you rightly said, the sense of community, the sense of family, the
That
sense of
ethos is lost. That
वो
ethos is
वो
diminishing day
बिल्कुल
by day.
कम हो गया है. you
और
know
उसकी वजह से क्या हुआ कि man is basically made from the nature. It needs to connect with the nature. Every
yeah,
element of nature, and human is the part of nature.
absolutely.
So when it disconnects, so certainly it is impractical for him to exist. So
It
that's why
is
these diseases, psychiatric diseases, come in. Anyway,
exact.
that's a very very vast chapter and a challenge nowadays, which we are facing. And there's lot much demand of these psychiatrists. There's lot much demand of these meditation people. There are lot many vendors who sell
Absolutely.
these products nowadays.
There's a reason why they are in demand. So, but this country, Now you can say it's a mini India also. You
in
know,
America.
you have everything here now. I mean, जो भी आपको चाहिए, that's available. You know, I remember those days when I came, there was one Indian grocery store, और वो भी पता नहीं कहाँ आपको जाना पड़ता था, और
Lot
उसके
of
पास बहुत limited supply होती थी. And then suddenly, when the second wave of immigrants came, like the cohorts and all the families, vagara, so some of them were not professionals and they couldn't find those jobs, vagara. So un logon ne they started these small businesses. So, and then we have even a city like Fremont, which is about 240,000 people.
where you stay.
We have about, I think, last figure I heard was that we have 43 Indian restaurants.
Why?
I mean, in a small city, we have 43 Indian restaurants. You have multiple grocery stores. You have anything that you want. You don't have to.
Available.
You don't have to really look, कि भाई वहां से मुझे ये भेजो, वो करो, ये करो. So, and also now in political arena, there's a lot more activity. You have younger people who get involved now in political activities. And as I said, we have a young dynamic person, Indian, who is a congressman. He might become the president of this country. I mean, the way I
Correct.
see him, and the way he is going, and has carved him, that national fame, ho gayi hai uski, this Rokhanna, he might run for US president. And then Kamala Harris, she's already the vice
Kamala
president.
Harris. She
No,
already
she's
vice
not.
president.
She's not puri Indian nahi hai, lekin fir bhi.
But she takes that South Indian. I heard that she's very fond of her South Indian dishes and all the idli, dosa, and everything. With
You
publicly, she
know, हाँ बोलते हैं ये लोग पॉलिटिक्स में इनका अपनी बेस क्या है, वो वोटर बेस क्या है. अगर इंडियंस काफी हैं तो वो दे विल सडनली टेल यू कि हम लोग बहुत प्राउड हैं अपनी
बहुत proud
अपना.
है. Right.
But the fact of the matter is that Kamala Harris hasn't been visible as an Indian at all. I mean, I know because I have been very involved in political activities here, so we know most of the people, whether they're high ups or lower level. तो हम सबको जानते हैं. And Kamala Harris, she hasn't really ever identified herself as an Indian. So, लेकिन बाद में when she was getting involved in this nomination वगैरह for this vice president, so suddenly she would talk about fondly about her mother and Kamala and Khana and this and that. तो लेकिन
Yes.
असली वो hardcore अपनी ही.
So, it's all your growing up years wherever you spend, because
Exactly.
wherever you spend, that has a great effect on your entire mindset and everything.
Absolutely. और उनको भी देखना
And
पड़ता है इनकी वोटर बेस क्या है. Who are the people who are going to continue to
in
elect them.
Indians, I think Punjabis and Gujaratis are they are doing very well. They do well everywhere.
They do well everywhere. Punjabis तो बहुत, जफाकश लोग हैं.
And
They are
Gujaratis as
very,
well.
very positive people, working hard, and they don't.
Hardworking,
Hard,
celebrating,
uh,
mysterious. Yeah.
so, you know, and Gujaratis, of course, business तो
No match,
उनके
no match to Gujaratis.
खून में है.
Blood.
But the opportunities that exist in this country. I mean, imagine a country which is one fourth the size of, which is four times bigger than India, right? Almost three and a
Yeah,
half.
yeah.
And you have one fourth the number of people that are in India. So why shouldn't there be opportunities? I mean, इनमें कोई खासियत नहीं है ऐसी, कोई ऐसी बात नहीं है. I mean, when you look at India, one really has to just feel proud of our country. I mean, look at the
Yes,
number
certain,
of people,
certain.
1.2 billion people, or one fourth the size of America, and how they manage and how they excel. तो वो भी एक बहुत बड़ी बात है.
They are brilliant people, hardworking people, and law-abiding people. Law-abiding people.
Exactly.
I mean, they are very drawn back, easy, nice, very very humble kind of a people. The Indians, they are.
Absolutely. So we
So
have
that's how it
now
is.
Younger
Do you
people are
think that
getting involved.
do you think that this I mean, since last 5 or 10 years, as you were saying, as you said in the opening of this session, that now, as they were telling you, you go for in the open fields. Now, since 5 10 years, the picture and imagery of India has completely changed in America.
It has completely changed. I mean, from that snake charmers, you know,
It was
cow
their
worship,
giving. We were not the land of snake charmers. Snakes were
cow
everywhere.
cow worshippers, and from that label,
We
you
like
know,
cows,
we have
certainly.
come a long way. As I said, it's mini India now. So, you see our politicians, they're wearing, they come wearing saris and stuff. Halanki, again, unko bhi apna wo jo mudda hai, they want
The
to be.
purpose is different, but anyway, somewhere down the line they have to come.
Lekin fir bhi,
Situation
it
has
helps.
arrived.
So it has now, you have, like I said, you have Indian restaurants, you have Indian businesses, you have everything is India here. Like if you come here, आप कहेंगे कि यार कोई मिस नहीं कर रहा हूँ, ये तो पूरा न्यू दिल्ली है, लेकिन जरा हवा साफ है और लोग कम है. बाकी तो वही
What's
है.
up?
हाँ, बाकी बाकी वही है.
But
And
one thing which, yeah, please, please,
I'm
please
so
continue.
glad that our younger generations, they are taking a lot of interest now in becoming part of the mainstream America. That's really definitely a very positive sign.
It's a
You
natural
know,
thing. It's a
we
natural.
have one Kashmiri girl, a lady here. Her name is Shafali Razdan. So she worked very hard in supporting these politicians like high level, like Obama, Clinton, and all these people. Now she's अभी we can't say this publicly, but क्योंकि confirmation नहीं हुई है, but she'll be ambassador
Yeah,
in.
yeah. It was there in the news as well. I've heard.
She'll
Razdan.
be an ambassador now, and I'm so proud of her. She's like a daughter to me, and you know, we're just waiting. मैंने कहा कि Shafali, the moment you are confirmed, we'll have a big party for give you that.
She's in her twenties,
She's going.
twenties, 30s.
No. She's about uh, you know she's early 40s में है.
Acha, she's in 40s, early
Early
40s.
40s
But
में
then
है.
again, that's the middle age. Yeah.
So yeah, she's a young woman, one wonderful husband, and beautiful children. And she worked very hard, but also very grounded. Very बहुत ही helpful, बहुत ही kind
Connected
औरत.
to the roots.
And she's going to be ambassador in Netherlands.
Ah, beautiful
So
country. Wow.
तो मैंने
Small.
कहा भाई शफाली,
Dutch.
मैंने कहा आई नेवर गॉन टू नेदरलैंड्स, लेकिन तुम्हारे पास मैं जरूर आऊंगा. और कहती है प्लीज लेट मी नो. पहले फर्स्ट आई हैव टू गेट कंफर्म्ड. मैंने कहा तुम हो जाओगी, यू विल डेफिनेटली, बिकॉज शी गेट्स अलोंग वेल विद रिपब्लिकन्स, शी गेट्स अलोंग वेल
She's
विद
worked in this
डेमोक्रेट्स.
direction.
She's a very you know very good soul. So I'm very sure she'll become the ambassador. So,
That's
and
so great.
you have
So
people
proud.
like her who are taking interest now in the politics here, and they are excelling. They are doing well. Some of them are doing really well because of because they know कि, how to penetrate into the mainstream. It's not easy. It takes a lot of work.
It needs a skill. It needs an understanding, first of all.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you
But they
need
have
to
an
be grown up.
advantage. Some of them have an advantage. They were born here, or they lived here. तो हमारे लिए तो मुश्किल था. आई रिमेम्बर व्हेन आई फर्स्ट केम, तो समझ भी नहीं आता था ये बोल क्या रहा है.
American accent is slightly
American
different.
accent, it took us time to even understand कि ये आदमी बोल क्या रहा है. So, but some of these people who are born here and they have an advantage that are, the parents like us.
Gustav, I wanted to ask one thing. It's a out of the track question, but it concerns me a lot because I want that we are the great democracies. India is a great democracy. America is a great democracy, and we wish that America well. But one thing is there. I have seen, as per our sciences, spiritual, this legacies we have. A country, Guru Nanak Dev Ji says that Uttam Kheti Madhyam Vyapar.
Uh-huh.
उत्तम खेती मध्यम व्यापार, और एंड में ही टेल्स द चाकरी, चाकरी इज द नौकरी को एंड में लेता. I have heard that the farming in US is very little. People are not into the farming. Farming community is very little there. Is it so?
Uh, are you talking about Indians in general, or you are talking about
No, no.
Kashmiri?
Americans, American farming system, their own farming. Like India produces a lot of wheat, lot of staples, lot of vegetables, everything. There's a organized farming culture in India and rest of the world. Is it the same in America, or I have heard that they are totally down to the business,
You
getting
know,
things from here and there.
America में actually not only farming but in so many other things. I mean, अपना तो ज़्यादा बनाते नहीं है. मतलब most of the things they just come from other countries.
That's a
So
thing.
same thing with farming also. I mean, you have Mexico and all these other
Mexico,
countries
yeah,
जहाँ
comes
से
from
आपका
Mexico.
बहुत बहुत कुछ वहाँ से आता है. But America, they are just basically importing also a lot of things.
Yeah, that's true. But what I'm saying is that ultimately, I mean, this habit of buying everything for the money, it is also not good in the longer run, because the farming is a prerequisite for human existence. Yes, you have money, you can buy, because you sell the weaponry, you sell the software, you sell the many things. But at one point of time, when you are not habitual of farming, creating your own crop, it can be to a great disadvantage at one point of time. That's how I feel. I don't know how this concern came into my mind. I'm not in America. I'm not in
अमेरिका का
America.
तो सबसे बेस्ट आपको पता है ना क्या है? वेपनरी.
Weaponry, yeah. For them, this Kazakhstan should continue. They should
झगड़ा
for this
झगड़ा
Ukraine.
झगड़ा कराओ
Ukraine,
और उनको वेपन्स बेचो.
for Ukraine को वही कर रहा है ना वो. Ukraine में,
That's
I mean,
exactly what's
everything is
happening.
uh, tragic,
Unfortunately, that's the
very
dark,
tragic.
side of हमारी कंट्री का डार्क साइड है कि शुरू कर देते हैं, जहां भी गए कुछ ना कुछ मसला पैदा करके ही वापस आ
They
गए.
create for their business. That's
या
true.
इराक, आपको पता ही है इराक में क्या
Iraq,
किया.
all the country, Afghanistan,
अफगानिस्तान एंड
they created the hell states and they
तो ये एक
destroyed.
अनफॉर्चुनेट, no, it's
Anyway,
unfortunate part of this.
that
you
is
know
unfortunate part. I wish that America well, because our Indians are there, and now there's a great joke. Sardar ji used to tell me that Jugal ji, Indians का क्या है? जितने इंडियन यहाँ है उससे ज्यादा इंडियन तो बाकी कंट्रीज में है.
हाँ.
So every country has its own share of Indians. So
Yeah,
Indians ही Indians हैं चारों ओर, everywhere. But we are
everywhere.
concerned about, because we want the world welfare as our state, because that's our
Absolutely.
learning, that's our sanskar. We want that as America should also be the prosperous, happy, logical,
Absolutely.
rule abiding.
बिल्कुल.
Anyway, sir, we'll now go and come up to your one of the most brilliant. You are a multifaceted and a dynamic personality, certainly, but your contribution to the arena of literature is something which we have not talked about yet in this entire, because it was we're into the informal corners right till now. Your two books, wonderful books, most acclaimed books. One is that the Last Mile, and another is the Earth on Trial. Earth on Trial, you said it's known and unknown enemies, and the Last Smile, you have written the word that it is a journey of love, of father's love, something like that. First of all, it takes energy, creative energy, time, and literary bent of mind to write a book, even if
That's
it may
not
be
easy.
huh?
It's not easy for sure. You are very right.
Not everybody cannot pen it down. So certainly there must have been this literature within
Well,
your camouflage in your mind, which came out, and how did it all happen, and what are these books about? Tell us something. I think this is a great concern and alarming books for the humanity to learn as a one community of this globe. That's what I have learned from these excerpts. I read few excerpts of your book. Yeah.
my first book that I wrote, and it was released in 2009, as you said, The Last Smile.
Awesome.
And later it became a movie. It was, it got some awards and, went to different, several continents and The name of the movie also is the same,
Yeah.
The Last Smile. And actually, I was uh, in India in 2016 and 2018, and the movie was screened there also. I was at the Symbiosis University in
Pune.
Maharashtra, and it was released there also. And then our Kashmiri, uh, you know, you know, Kashmir Sevak Samaj, Dr. Surinder Handu,
Hundred.
and our Karnal Saab, All India Kashmiri Samaj, you know, Tej Tiku, and uh, some wonderful people that I interacted with, and Mahabi Screen Hui, they all saw the movie, and was very very kind of them. I'm very grateful to them. Bhajan Saab, and
Bhajan.
there's lot of wonderful people. So so I wrote my first book, The Last Smile. It's a personal memoir, and also there's a chapter which has been devoted to recognizing the dangers of dietary supplements, which are not regulated by the Food and Drug Administration. So yahan we have what they call FDA, Food and Drug Administration.
Okay.
So they basically are the ones who regulate uh, the food and everything. But unfortunately, they, because of the powerful lobby,
Yeah.
and it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and तो उस इसमें काफी corruption है, this
Vested interest.
contaminants हैं, बहुत बहुत सारी चीजें हैं, और काफी ऐसी ऐसी इंडस्ट्रीज पैदा हो गई हैं which are not genuine. तो let me, I'll make it a little easy. I will read this uh,
Accepts. Okay.
review, एक review किया है, and again
Okay.
it's unknown because it was on Amazon. So I don't know who did this, but I kind of felt it's appropriate because it'll give you an idea. So I'll read it
Please.
out to you.
Please.
It
Please.
says The Last Smile, written by Jeevan Zutshi, is an engaging saga. It intertwines the hopes of a land and its people, Kashmir, historical events in India, and the US in the 20th century. The determination and grit of the early Indian immigrants to the US,
Wow.
evidenced through the story of one family that overcomes the challenges facing them and makes the US its home, and the unexpected tragedy that befell them. Long after I read the book, the characters continue to occupy my thoughts. Unsurprising, as they are actual people, and one sees their lifetime unfold through the pages. To me, this is not a book on the dangers of nutritional supplements, though that is an important public health issue and critical to the story. But I think it's a book on resilience of the
Yeah.
human spirit that ties together the themes of being uprooted and betrayal, first in Kashmir, as fortunes turn thanks to political decisions and turmoil caused by militancy, and then betrayal by substances supposed to be health giving, and a healthcare system that enshrines the individual right to privacy while dismissing concerns of family members apprehensive about their loved one's health. The book is about life. It advocates hope, awareness, positivity, and not giving up. In fact, Tragedy is the shadow of life human beings cannot totally escape from. It strikes us in one or the
Yes.
other form. The book is an honest and honorable narrative of the author's love for his family, especially the son who is no more. Read it and feel inspired. So it was one of the best reviews, and I thought that this will tell you a lot about, you
No,
know,
no, this has ultimately summarized the entire thing
why
about
the
the
book
book.
was written, and
It's
I'm.
about the last smile, or it's about this
It's about, yeah. It's this review was about the last smile.
last smile. So it's a wonderful review. I mean, it's very engrossing, it's engaging, and at the same time, it gives you a very very subtle bounce and touches the pains your heart. That already people who are in trouble, then you have connected the two things together, and they fell to these, these vagaries, contemporary vagaries around. So that's a beautiful novel. I think I would love to read it. It must be available on
Definitely.
the Amazon. How
When I
many
visit
pages?
this year, I'll definitely come and meet with you and also present
It's,
the
what?
books to you.
How many pages, sir? How many pages?
It's a small book. I think it's about 240
That's a
or
big.
250 or 275 pages.
Amazon has published it.
Amazon, huh?
It was published,
It's on
and it is
Amazon.
Kindle version is also available.
No,
Kindle, no,
no, I think Kindle.
paperback.
Nahi. Huh.
Okay, that's so wonderful. I mean, such books. I mean, tell me one thing more. I want to know that what is the tragedy? This is a colossal tragedy happening all over the globe now because what I was in my 40s. When I was in my 40s, I used to read a lot of literature. I remember best literature I have read that was in my teens. Novels, literature, books, everything. It has slowed down over the time with the age. But now, I mean, I feel that there's a lot of dearth there. But still, I try to read a book at least once a month or once a week, one or two, twice a fortnight. But one thing I'm just able not to understand the entire Indian diaspora, especially the Kashmir diaspora. I don't know what is the trend in the world. People are losing this habit of reading a book, a good book. In our times, I mean, when I was in my school and when I was in college, or our senior times, 10 years back or 10 years before, we, irrespective of what we read, irrespective of what was the quality of the book, somebody read mystery, somebody read romance, Harold Robbins, somebody read even Chase, James Hadley Chase, but people used to read. Now
Yes,
this reading habit is going. I remember, I'll just tell you, this Tulips and Snowstorm is done by Avatar Motaji. Avatar Motaji is one of the most honest researcher till today's day. There's lot much trash being written. I do understand lot much trash, lot much copy paste things are happening. But then again, there are some credible books, credible works like yours, like Avatar Motaji's, that I mean Snowstorm, and this Tulips and the Snowstorm. These books basically need to be read because they are the real stories, they're real anecdotes. But our diaspora, I mean, they are all into the Google. They just Google the thing, go to the surface level, start discussing on the on the social sites. But there is no deep going into reading a book. That habit is going off. That's a colossal
absolutely.
tragedy.
It
What have you
is.
to say about it?
There's nothing you can do about it because the focus has completely shifted. Now, honestly, you see the younger people, leaving aside some intellectuals and some other people who will continue doing what we used to see our grandparents doing, or what we used to see
Tradition,
some other people
tradition was
doing.
the
They will
focus.
continue to do that. But in general, I think the focus now has shifted to more, it's just, I don't know, it's wealth building, money, those kind of superficial things, which basically are, they think it's more important than enriching your mind and your relations and your families and your the human bond and interaction.
Horse.
I mean, now it's all about, divanapon.
Spontaneity.
Yeah,
Spontaneity.
yeah,
Ma'am, ma'am, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, it's like
absolutely. I remember our older people, even when I was growing up, वो सोने से पहले किताब तो हाथ में होती थी, and you would see so
उसी से
many
नींद आती।
times कि आंख लग गई है और किताब हाथ में है. So that's what it used to be, and there's so much out there in this world, but unfortunately, the lives have changed now, and as I said, इनको खुद भी नहीं पता है कि हम क्या कर रहे हैं.
There's no self-awareness also.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
There's no nothing. But
But
then
my
again,
but my
we have to be
second book I just wrote was during the pandemic. तो जब कोविड ने हिट किया तो मैंने कहा कि भाई कुछ करने के लिए है नहीं, तो व्हाई डोंट आई अगेन जॉट डाउन सम मेमोरीज वगैरह पुरानी बातें. तो दिस बुक एक्चुअली अर्थ ऑन ट्रायल.
earth on trial. Yeah.
तो आई वाज इन
Visible,
फैक्ट,
invisible enemy.
हाँ,
Visible and
fighting
invisible.
the visible and invisible enemies. So, it was March, month of March, and 2000, obviously, the beginning of यहाँ पर अमेरिका में जब लॉकडाउन शुरू हो गया, तो 2021, 2020, I'm sorry, देखिए ह्यूमन मेमोरीज भी कैसी हैं. We suddenly forget everything. तो I was thinking, मैंने कहा यार this पहले तो it was Pakistan, and then it is Iraq, and then you have this, and you have Syria, and you have, मैंने कहा ये तो सारा world अब they are all fighting now an invisible enemy. मैंने कहा सबको पकड़ लिया, you know अब इस वक्त ना कोई कलर है, ना कोई prejudice है, ना कुछ है. It is just this one invisible enemy who has gotten hold of the humanity at large, at any place. दिमाग में मुझे यही ख्याल आया. मैंने कहा कि there are invisible enemies also, but we know the visible enemies. So that's where the thought came, and I started writing. So this book, Earth on Trial, is, it's basically few chapters I put together. So again, one chapter is about Kashmir. वो तो naturally है कि I have
Kashmir will never go from
I
our.
have to I have to mention कि मैं कहाँ से हूँ, and about our families and stuff. So, and then the politics उसमें, I liked one article by Mir Junaid.
Virgin.
So it was published somewhere, and I went through it a few times, and I said कि he's making a lot of sense. He's making a lot of sense. तो उसको मैंने वो डाल दिया. I put the whole उसका article ही मैंने वहाँ डाल दिया, because I felt that I didn't disagree with anything at all, history or
Honest.
about Kashmiri Pandits, about what they are going through and all that. तो वो chapter उसमें डाल दिया कश्मीर का. And then those days यहाँ पर काफी ये Black Lives Movement बहुत चल रही थी. If you
हाँ पीछे तो
recall, there was a huge uprising, बहुत बहुत problem.
uprising demonstrations were there. Yeah.
And
It was Trump's time. Trump's.
I'm part of a book club which I started about 7-8 years back. तो वहाँ कुछ younger ladies हैं who are new in this country. New means, compared to us, I mean 8 साल, 10 साल, 15 साल. And the way they were talking about blacks, जो black Americans है, so it was like I could feel that you cannot judge them for saying what they are saying, but they don't know. They don't know really कि ये black आए कहाँ से, ये लोग हैं कौन. I mean, it happens. Like हम हैं अभी, अब 50 साल से इस country में हैं. अब the younger people who are coming, तो उनको क्या पता है कि who we are and what we went through, and our struggles and our joys and our everything. They are not aware.
They
अब
must not be.
RSS,
Yeah.
अब 400 years back, blacks बेचारे कैसे यहाँ पर लाए गए, as slaves in shackles, and so मैंने कहा कि there should be a chapter to at least educate some people who may be willing to learn. तो ब्लैक्स पर मैंने एक चैप्टर डाल दिया वहाँ इन दिस अर्थ ऑन ट्रायल, जो ये लेटेस्ट
अरे
वाली
वंडरफुल,
आप जिसकी
वंडरफुल।
बात आप कर रहे थे, तो and then obviously one chapter is on the COVID and the history वगैरह कहाँ से आया, and 1916 का epidemic, and I thought कि उस वक्त mind में आया, मैंने कहा कि my little granddaughter, when she reads about this, तो not understanding कि वो तो आजकल तो गूगल है, उसको क्या जरूरत है why does she have to read my book to know what is already there?
And then they will argue Google is something which they worship. They will argue with a literate person about a particular thing. Google में आया तो that is the final.
That's final. So I have a chapter on that COVID वगैरह, because that is the real invisible enemy, right?
That is the
So
way.
that is the title of the book. तो उसको तो डालना ही था. और visible enemies तो वही आपका कश्मीर है. I mean, you see all these
Pakistan,
Pakistani darinde. I mean,
the
how
sacred Quran, sacred
what
Quran. Pak is
what they
sacred
have
but
done.
unholy Quran.
What they
जिस
have done.
कश्मीरीज को डिस्ट्रॉय करने के पीछे पाकिस्तान का बहुत बड़ा रोल है. ऑल मुस्लिम्स बेचारे,
उन्हीं का.
thousands
You know,
Muslims, thousands of Muslims.
I feel very sad. I feel very sad that there is so much hatred now that you see. We have. I mean, for obvious reasons. Now, the a family which has lost someone
Yeah,
at the
that's
hands
what.
of these marauders. I mean, obviously they are not going to be so, so happy about calling a Muslim, peaceful or good or anything. लेकिन question ये है in my mind always कि we're all human. We all have the same, सबकी वही ज़रूरियात हैं, सबकी वही needs हैं, you know. So we cannot just, we cannot go against different religions and different communities and different people. I mean, there are wonderful people in every religion.
Yeah, yeah, everywhere, everywhere.
There's bad people, in good and bad is everywhere. So
This
I
is
think ये जो
basically
कश्मीर में हुआ, whatever happened in Kashmir, I think it really has made a lot of people, वो जो hate है, it has become part of them. And I wish कि वक्त आए कि वो hate निकल जाए,
and we normal people become numb, because
and
this hate
once
destroys,
again people come together, and
this hate destroys more to yourself than the other. जो आदमी hate
absolutely,
करता है उसको डिस्ट्रॉय
absolutely.
ज्यादा करती है, दूसरे को कम करती
दूसरे
है,
को
जिसके
कुछ भी नहीं होता है, दूसरे का तो कुछ होता ही नहीं है.
होता ही नहीं. So I think we are the same root, we have the same blood. That's why I tell in Shitala's conversation also, we have the same origin. Whatever has happened, it is very tragic.
It
It's
is
very
very
tragic.
tragic.
The civilization, but then again, there are so many great Muslims who come and support this civilization. In my I had this, the great painter, that what his name is,
संतोष.
uh, Santosh son had come, and
I heard that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then this another great painter, what's his name? I forgot his name. He had also been there with me, and it was wonderful. They talk about Shakti Parampara, they talk about
Yeah.
traditions of Kashmir, and Mir Hai Zafar talked about the Kashmir Shaivism,
They
and
know
he talked
more
about
about Kashmir Shaivism, or
yeah,
so many things that we
Sufi
Hindus
sects
don't
and
know.
other sects. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they people realize, and usne I cannot pronounce it, neither I remember it. It is, but this is lying there in his video. He quoted one particular a great saint poet. We had great tradition of saint poets in Kashmir. I have forgotten his name, and he has said that even the book and the person whom they call God's man, they everything is drawn from the Kashmir Shaivism.
Right.
Indirectly, Sori Shudramudjati,
Sorry. Yeah.
something like that. A Muslim preacher, I mean, Sufi telling it. Yesterday,
Yeah.
I was just watching, I read one particular line, sir. It was about Nundrish. There's, it is all Kashmir Shaivism. all
Right.
Kashmir Shaivism, we have the same roots, same blood. I think it is less of a fight of a religion, more of a civilization.
Absolutely.
There's an Arabian civilization, there is an Indian civilization. That is
Absolutely.
what it is. Religion is something which is pious, which is a correlation with the God, but it is a civilizational fight. As Benazir Bhutto used to say, she also used to say, because she was well read, used to say that it is basically a civilizational fight.
Right.
और कुछ नहीं, सभ्यता की लड़ाई है सर, मुझे
बिल्कुल
जो
ठीक।
लगता है, whether
आप
you
ठीक कह
agree.
रहे हैं। आप ठीक कह रहे हैं। And it's so unfortunate. I mean, look, go back and the valley of Kashmir. I mean, kya relationships thi. I mean, you could trust Muslims more than your own Kashmiri Pandits.
Yeah, they're
That,
wonderful people.
and then how this religion, it's a weapon which can be
Have been
used.
exploited here.
It can be absolutely, and that's what exactly happened. Now,
Pakistan did it. Yeah.
Pakistan, they lost these wars against India. And then they thought ki like Ziaul Haq and all those guys, ki indoctrination karo,
Indoctrinate.
madrasas ko promote karo, or training do. That's it. And they
That's
were
true.
successful in destroying this
The
beautiful
fiber.
valley.
That's what. I
They were
remember, sir. If you, I think you must also be. Remember, I was probably in '79. I was in college, but I remember I mentioned that in the last episode as well. When Bhutto was hanged, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was hanged. There was a euphoria in Kashmir, and I used to see this Jamaat Islami दाढ़ी वाला जहाँ मिल जाता था ना,
huh.
उनको कश्मीरियों को उसको मारते थे. So they were so liberal.
Yeah.
You do understand. Bhutto was a communist. Bhutto
Yes.
was not a
Yes.
Jamaati. So they were so liberal in their approach, Kashmiris. And what has
Right.
happened in these 30 years, the majority of them, they have tried to probably radicalize.
Absolutely.
As you rightly said that, this is basically wonderful land, and we had this bonhomie, and this we had love, brotherhood with each other.
Absolutely. I was very privileged actually because living in Sopor and living with there were most of the Muslims who were surrounding us. I mean, वैसे भी Kashmir 90% तो Muslims ही थे. But there were wonderful Muslims, like I told you about this Molvi Saab. I mean, how much Mirza Ghalib and Zok and,
Zog,
so
Mirza
many,
Ghalib. Yeah,
so many things we used to,
sure.
we used to learn and they used to teach us and all that. So it hurts. It really hurts when I see कि between the two communities कितनी नफरत फैल गई है. And it's politics, sheer politics.
Sheer
I don't, yeah.
politics.
अभी कश्मीरी पंडित्स आपस में लड़ रहे हैं, तो अब उनका कौन सा religion different है? Why are they fighting? I mean, one Kashmiri does something really good, तो दूसरा कश्मीरी कहता है भाई इसलिए कर रहा है ये is this guy is doing it for this reason. They will never give you credit for spending your time,
The-
energy, money, resources. अब वहां religion कहाँ? वहां तो same religion है. So why are they?
वहां
you know
वहां पे रूट्स आ गए, रूट्स.
हाँ. Exactly. अभी देखिए वो the latest हमारा जो the Kashmir file वगैरह जो आ गई है,
हाँ, ग्रेट मूवी.
तो yeah, and even that has now, I mean, though most of the Kashmiri Pandits, so I'm sure they will not say anything against it, लेकिन फिर भी जब
कुछ
मौका
ना कुछ
मिलता है
बीच
तो
में कोई ना कोई निकल आता है.
कुछ
निकल
निकल आता है. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything. जो कुछ भी निकल आएगा निकल आएगा.
इट इज ट्रू फॉर एवरी कश्मीरी मुस्लिम्स में भी सेम चीज है. उनके भी
हाँ,
विदन जब आप देखोगे तो सेम चीज है. सो
same
जेनेटिक
thing.
बात है. इट इज
ये I
मोर
think it's in
रिलेटेड
our
टू द
DNA.
जेनेटिक्स.
It is genetics defect.
Probably this is also because of the foreign rules of especially sultans, and then after sultans it was about Mughals and then Afghans. That was the most brutal periods they have seen together.
I was talking to a friend. So he's a Sardar. And we were just talking only last week. And he was telling me about the atrocities which were committed against Sikhs. and and I knew, but we were just basically reminiscing कि वो कह रहा था कि कैसे वो, you know, how the Sikh gurus and sacrificed their children, and
Yeah, yeah,
just to
no doubt.
save other communities. तो Sikhs का देखिए, I was thinking, मैंने कहा भाई, they also have gone through a lot. They have also gone through a lot, but why are they so different? Because many times I used to think कि when you see some of the inherent characteristics जो हम कश्मीरी पंडितों में हैं, and now since I'm a Kashmiri Pandit, so I will know myself. I'm basically
Yeah,
talking about myself. So, we're kind of that tend to be timid, tend to be thankless, tend to
cynical,
be,
cynical,
ungrateful, and so many things are there. कि हर एक चीज का
hypocrite, hypocrite.
हाँ, हिपोक्रेट पर्पस निकालते हैं कि भाई इसने ये क्यों किया मेरे लिए, कुछ तो मतलब होगा.
Precarious, precarious is the right word.
and
Precarious.
then and then when you help them, then they will say कि भाई वो अपने लिए कर रहा था, अपना नाम कमा रहा था. तो there is absolute, but then I always thought, मैंने कहा we have to forgive ourselves, because our history, subjugation, and whatever has happened to us,
Checkered, checkered
11
with.
घर ही कुल रहे थे, and all that, मैंने कहा it must be because of that. But then when you hear about so many other communities, they have also gone through a lot. अभी
I think,
partition में देखिए क्या हुआ.
yes,
When you had
but one thing
partition,
is that sir, that is in their that is in their philosophy to forget, submit to God and forget, move ahead,
exactly.
move on. So that should be the approach. You cannot past. You have to bring. You have to live with the good things around. You cannot all the time go on and on and on and on. How long?
How long?
That's it.
Yeah.
You need to build. Anyway, sir, it was a wonderful. We it was a very informally formal conversation with you. But before that, I would like to say you are into philanthropy and social service. You have done a lot of social service as well. You are into philanthropy as well. I don't know. Normally, people don't tell it. They hide
फिलंथ्रॉपी
this
हो,
thing.
फिलंथ्रॉपी के लिए यू हैव टू हैव लॉट ऑफ मनी. अब जब पैसे ही नहीं है तो फिलंथ्रॉपी कहाँ से होगी?
That is a typical Kashmiri response. बहुत मजा आया. Okay, that's so wonderful.
It
So
has been
let's
a
let's move on.
delight.
I think you are doing a lot of work. Otherwise, you are expanding your hand to the Kashmiri diasporas, and you have the organizations like Indo-American Community Federation, and you are doing a lot of work with creating symposiums. And you have also probably played a great role after this horrendous migration happened in 1990, and probably you are on the forefront, and you have made it everything organic. Oh, that's again a philanthropy. I think
A
you are
blessing
investing your
is
time. You are
at the
investing your time.
concluding, remarks ये हैं कि we're kind of very blessed right now. In the past 4 years, we have this, whatever we tried to do in the past 32, 35 years, whatever. So it was a very slow process and also could not really achieve much. लेकिन अभी 2-4 साल पहले we have this global organization, एक जो global Kashmiri Pandit diaspora,
Diaspora.
and we are really very fortunate because we have Dr. Surinder Koul हैं एक,
He has done a lot of work.
he's a doctor in Houston, तो काफी passionate हैं, लेकिन in the right direction.
Right
So,
direction.
so he's the one who actually had this. He initiated this the Kashmir Files का उन्होंने विवेक अग्निहोत्री को कहा कि
हाँ,
why
उनका ही
don't you
प्लान था. विवेक
why
जी
don't
said
you make a
somewhere.
movie? Why don't you make a movie on that? And Kashmir Files, फिर आपको पता ही है कि now everyone, इवन मेरे बैकयार्ड में यहाँ, मैंने कहा यार तुम 30 साल से तुमको नहीं पता है कश्मीर में क्या हो रहा था? मैंने कहा हम क्या कर रहे थे? कहते हैं नहीं जुच साहब, ये मूवी का असर तो कुछ और ही था. हमें पता था कि कश्मीर का हो रहा है, कश्मीरी पंडितों का हो रहा है, बिकॉज यू हैव बीन always doing some or the other thing. लेकिन what the movie has done, you know, it has completely opened the eyes of everyone, and they all know कि भाई कश्मीरी पंडितों के साथ क्या हालत हुई. तो
It's the
we're
most. It is the most impressionable medium,
we're
filmmaking,
really
celluloid. Yeah.
really grateful. We also got to meet Prime Minister Modi जब यहाँ आए थे. तो you know and I remember his words कि आप लोगों ने बहुत भुगता है, अब कश्मीर में नई हवा चलेगी. So this was in 2019 only when he came and he met just 10-12 Kashmiri, 15-20 लोग हम गए थे. Dr. Surinder Koul, again, he had
Modi
taken the
Saab to
initiative.
is a selfless person all the time, working and honest by conviction.
He is,
He
yes,
does
yes,
his work. Very
absolutely.
clean hearted. He doesn't have any biases, as people normally try to. I mean, just maybe politics apart. He's a
Right.
wonderful human being, and wonderful. He treats everybody with the same mindset. He had no prejudice against any religion, caste, creed. But the
बिल्कुल.
politics is to be needed because
उसमें
politics
क्या
we
कर
cannot
सकते
rise.
हैं आप?
उसमें
Yeah,
उसके बगैर rise भी नहीं कर सकते हैं.
absolutely.
Zusab, it was a great delight to talking to you. We can
It
go
is
hours
really,
together.
really,
But
really a
but but
pleasure.
but before we go, I want a great message from a person like you, a multifaceted personality who has been successful in US and who is so active in many organizations, especially the overseas Indo-American context. Kindly give a message to the youth of the diaspora, Indian youth, and youth in general from your life experience as a consequence of challenges what we are widely we are just encountering nowadays.
You know, what comes to my mind is sometime back when Vajpayee, you know, उनको मिलने गए थे कश्मीरी डेलीगेशन वगैरह, काफ़ी लोग मिलने जाते थे कि भाई हमारा कुछ कीजिए. तो आई एम रिमाइंडेड ऑफ व्हाट ही हैड सेड टू दोज कश्मीरीज. उन्होंने उनको कहा था कि भाई पहले आप अपना लीडर चुनिए, उसके बाद फिर आप मेरे पास आइए. आई मीन दिस इज सो ट्रू. Some people who are fully aware of this, they have told me this. तो वही एक मसला है. एक मैसेज ये, आई मीन पहले मैं मैसेज देने वाला हूं ही नहीं. आई मीन
No,
मैं
no,
क्या,
but
what
it
can
is
I
just
what can I
needed.
tell, you know, anyone. लेकिन इतना जरूर कहूंगा कि कोशिश करो. Let us fight our DNA and let's kind of let's get that sense of you know,
Esteem,
gratitude and you know, kindness and you know, वो जो निंदा करते हैं,
निंदा से दूर हो.
when you see somebody doing some good, तो उसको नीचे कैसे लाएंगे और उसके बारे में बुरा भला कैसे कहेंगे.
Attitude of crab mentality.
So you know, so I think you know, I want us to recognize that the enemy is within us. You know, that's what I have concluded. The enemy is within us. और वो enemies जो आपको पता है, ego, hate, bigotry, prejudice, ingratitude. I mean,
Subjectivity.
these are among some of our worst enemies. And I know this is a human, you know, element. ये हम में ही नहीं है खाली, लेकिन हम में मैंने देखा, I work with different communities from India or from, you know, from Africans हैं या Vietnamese हैं, कहीं से भी. I work with all of them, most of them. And हम में कुछ जरा ज्यादती है. You know, generally speaking, we are gentler people. From outside हम बहुत ही humble लगते हैं and all that.
Civilized है.
लेकिन ये चीजें जो हैं, you know, my message to our youth कि भाई आगे बढ़ो, positive बनो, and you know, just shun some of these
Bury the prejudices.
हाँ
Bury
हाँ.
the prejudice.
और तो क्या कह सकते हैं, बाकी they are all doing well now and God bless everyone. You know, IT Zindabad. You know, IT has given a lot of opportunities to
We are
our
proud
younger
of this
people.
community as
We are
well.
proud of them, what they are doing, and you know, they're doing hard work कर रहे हैं, अपना काम कर रहे हैं. लेकिन बाकी जो personal level पर हैं, I think to all of us, to everyone, including myself, I think we must recognize कि enemy बाहर नहीं है, वो
हमारे
हमारे ही
अंदर है.
अंदर है. और ये जो चीजें मैंने आपको कही, अगर if we can be able to somehow खत्म तो नहीं कर सकते हैं, लेकिन थोड़ा recognize कर सकते
Diminish.
हैं कि यार मैं क्यों कर रहा हूँ, व्हाई एम आई जस्ट अगेंस्ट, अभी हमारे लीडर्स हैं, काम कर रहे हैं। अभी मैंने आपको अभी कहा, डॉक्टर सुरेंद्र कोल हैं या कोई हैं,
जो
भाई
भी है काम कर रहा है तो लेट हिम डू द वर्क,
गिव
लेट
देम
हिम डू द
क्रेडिट,
वर्क,
गिव देम क्रेडिट को
गिव
कितना
क्रेडिट टू हिम।
अपना टाइम खर्च कर रहे हैं, एक डॉक्टर हैं, अपना टाइम स्पेंड कर रहे हैं, अपना अपने रिसोर्सेज, अपना पैसा, अपना इतना कुछ कर रहे हैं। गिव सम क्रेडिट, ये मत कहो कि भाई अब क्या होगा। अब ये हमारी दूसरी प्रॉब्लम ये है कि अब क्या होगा, वन क्या गैस। आई मीन, वन क्या गैस, थोड़ा थोड़ा तो होता रहेगा, कुछ ना कुछ तो होता रहता है, कम्युनिटी गेट्स बेनिफिटेड इन सम और द अदर वे। तो वी मस्ट रिकॉग्नाइज दैट
At least our tragedies,
हमारी
which were not
वीकनेसेस।
recognized earlier, now it has been able to be portrayed through the movie. People now understand it. Otherwise उनको लगता था जुगल जी बड़े अच्छे लगते हैं शक्ल से, इनके साथ तो कभी कुछ हो नहीं सकता।
Absolutely. I mean, look
तो
at the movie, what it has done. I'm not really. I also, I was part of the, यहाँ हमने California में, I pre-screened it, and we had people come, and we did also impact screening where we had some politicians come. Like I told you earlier, politicians को तो कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, अगर policy है नहीं कि if they are not supporting, if they don't want to support India on this Kashmir issue, तो वो नहीं करेंगे। कितनी कोशिश आप करें, तो they are not going to do it. I have personal relations with some of these members of Congress and senators and all these people, लेकिन नहीं करेंगे। They are not going to make a statement कि oh, Kashmiri Pandits have really suffered at the hands of Pakistan. Will they do that? No, क्योंकि वो इनकी अपनी जो फॉरेन पॉलिसी है वो तो उनको they have to just go by that. And our expectations also become very, very, very silly expectations कि भाई why isn't, he's your friend, this congressman, why doesn't he make a statement? उसको आप कश्मीर फाइल क्यों नहीं दिखाते हैं? मैंने कहा यार वो नहीं देखेगा, उसको ऑलरेडी पता है कश्मीर फाइल में क्या है। He is not going to watch it, and even if he watches it, he's going to make some silly comment which will have 100 meanings. What a nice movie it has been made. What a nice movie has been made.
yeah, it's wonderful movie.
But we want him to say कि भाई our Kashmiri Pandits were murdered, and they वो नहीं कहेंगे. They are not going to do that. They'll say it's a
They're
good
bound to
movie.
their policy
विवेक
making.
अग्निहोत्री is a great director, लेकिन ये नहीं कहेंगे कि ये मूवी किस बारे में है, because उनकी पॉलिसी वैसी है अभी. They don't want to really lose Pakistanis and other people, and जो उनका जो अपना है, we have to understand that. हमारे लोग बड़े इमोशनल हो जाते हैं कि ये क्यों नहीं ऐसा करते हैं। अरे भाई वो उनकी प्रॉब्लम है, तो जो हमारी प्रॉब्लम है उसको हम सॉल्व करें।
But we are doing our level best, and our
We are
people,
doing our level best.
हमारे लोग काम कर रहे हैं और बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं। पीपल, मुझे लगता है यंगर जनरेशन, मुझे अब जो नई जनरेशन है ये थोड़ा जो टीन्स में, ट्वेंटीज में है, अर्ली ट्वेंटीज में, जैसे
they
हमारे
they
बच्चे
they
हैं,
are
दे आर
changing,
वेरी
they are changing.
ऑनेस्ट, मुझे
हाँ,
अच्छे लगते हैं वो। उनका बड़ा
they are.
वो, दे डोंट टेक दिस शिट फ्रॉम द एल्डर्स,
No,
वो चुईत पटन चुईत पटन, नो। वो
absolutely.
अपना रीजन और लॉजिक यूज करते हैं।
I
दैट वे
think
इट्स
our younger generation, जो younger, अब मैं younger क्या किसको कहूँ?
बट यंगर मींस द
अब तो
टीन्स
इतने
एंड
ओल्ड हम
ट्वेंटीज,
हो गए, लेकिन
ट्वेंटीज
like
एंड
you said, people in 20s and जो 30s वगैरह, they're a different breed now. I mean, and I'm very sure that they will always use their
they will
head.
change, they will change with the
They will
time, they
promote
will change.
harmony. They will promote, they will shun religious bigotry and prejudices and
All bigotries, social bigotries, genetic bigotries.
absolutely, absolutely.
As Ramdev says that this is a genetic, this is a evolutionary phenomenon. Our anatomy is going to change now, but we have to, I mean, resist it by doing yoga. So someday,
Yeah.
somewhere down the line, we have to do something.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm telling you honestly, this is so true. I wish that there could be a lot of emphasis, on these young kids, when they are 4 years, 5 years old, कि उनको meditation सिखाएं. It will turn, this whole world will become different. You
That's true.
know, it honestly, it's true, because it expands your mind. It just gives you so much. I mean, it gives you so much. Ramdev
Yeah.
is right in that respect.
I'm
Though
very
I
right in
just
that.
I follow Sri Sri, but any one of them, whatever they do, I
They are
think
doing good work. They are doing good
it
work.
is it
All
is
of them
good.
are doing good.
Yeah,
And India is now becoming the Vishwa Guru in that way. We are telling people for a better life. Even the Islamic countries, the most regimented Islamic countries, they now follow the yoga. They now do the meditation. I'm part of one system. I'm a trainer as well. So I see that Pakis, they do it. Iran people, they do it. They do meditation. I mean, that is which is being it would have been treated as a blasphemy in their religion, but they do it now. They do meditation, they do yoga, and they love
right,
it. So
right, right.
things are changing now. Let we also
Things,
change, as you said. So with that concluding great remark of
right.
Zutshi Saab, we like to conclude this most vibrant and a wonderful session,
Thank
which could
you.
have gone on and on, but now we have the time constraints as well. 9 o'clock.
Thank you, really, thank you
Thanks a
very
lot.
much.
Pleasure.
I'm very fond of
आपको
you,
ट्रबल
very
दिया
fond
सुबह
of
सुबह सवेरे
your
सवेरे
program.
आपको ट्रबल दिया फ्रॉम कैलिफोर्निया
No,
आई
no,
एम
no,
सॉरी
no.
फॉर दैट
It
प्लेजर
really
प्लेजर
was a delight. Namaskar,
प्लेजर
Madam.
एंड बेस्ट ऑफ
I will
लक
look
बेस्ट ऑफ
forward to see you this year. Namaskar.
थैंक्स अ लॉट
Namaskar.
सर थैंक्स अ लॉट प्लेजर इज माइन थैंक यू
Namaskar, Madam.
so that was Jeevan Zutshi Saab, the polymath, the business icon, the author, and a great social activist from US, and many words of advices from him to our diaspora, to our youth. There's a great saying of Ghalib, हुई मुद्दत के गालिब मर गया हुई मुद्दत के गालिब मर गया पर याद आता है वो हर बात पे कहना यूं होता तो क्या होता. So anything, any wisdom, any guidance which comes from the people who have experienced life themselves, that should be taken as a very positive thing, and we should try to change ourselves and help ourselves by these wonderful statements. So I think it was a great experience for all of you, an exhilarating, enchanting experience. I have really enjoyed this session. Thank you very much for gluing into this 53rd historic session of Shitalath Conversations. Next Sunday, we have a very special and important guest. Till then, goodbye and good night. Namaste.